Somewhere in the depths of your mind, a dormant certainty lives. It has no name. It's not found in books. You won't uncover it through techniques. It's a subtle whisper that says, what you seek, you already are. From a young age, you were taught to ask, to visualize, to desire intensely. You were told that if you closed your eyes and repeated what you wanted enough times, the universe, like a kind genie, would grant it. But what if all of that was just a shadow of the truth? What if I told you the universe doesn't respond to your words, but to your vibration? You are not an antenna waiting to pick up the right signal. You are the broadcaster. You are the source of the signal. Every emotion you feel, every thought you hold, is a silent command you give to life. It doesn't matter what you say you want. If inside you there is lack, your reality will mirror it. If inside you there is doubt, that will become the background music of your existence. True manifestation doesn't happen when you want something badly. It happens when you fully align with the certainty that it's already yours. Just imagine for a moment that everything you've been searching for, success, love, health, peace, is not something to be acquired, but something to be expressed. It's not about reaching. It's about remembering. Not about conquering, but about allowing. This is where most people go wrong. They think manifestation means forcing the universe to give them something. Manifestation is removing everything that blocks what already belongs to you from being expressed. You don't need more visualizations. You don't need more affirmations. What you need is to get rid of the noise that stops you from feeling the truth. You already are. The universe doesn't give you what you wish for. It gives you what you are. And this is where the Real journey begins. Not with a list of goals, but with one internal decision. To stop begging life and start expressing it with full awareness. Part 2. The Lie of Desire. For years, you were taught to desire. They told you that if you wanted something badly enough, you'd get it. That if you focused hard, dreamed big, fought for what you wanted, everything would eventually align for you. But no one ever taught you to look at the origin of your desires. No one ever told you that, most of the time, desire is just fear in disguise. A fear wearing the mask of ambition. A mask you wore so well, you began to believe it was who you truly were. You desire love, because deep down, you believe you're alone. You desire abundance, because you feel something is missing. You desire peace, because there's an inner war raging inside you. Can you see it? The root of desire, in most cases, is the sensation of lack. And as long as that lack is active within you, whatever you try to manifest will simply be a mirror of it. More scarcity, more struggle, more emptiness. Here's the shift that changes everything. You don't need more desires. You need more presence. Because the one who desires is living in the future. And creation only happens in the now. You've confused desire with creation. But a creator doesn't desire. A creator simply expresses. Does the sun desire to shine? It just does. Does the river desire to flow? It flows because that's its nature. You've been trained to long for things, not to be things. You were conditioned to look outward, to chase after what you already are. And so, you spin in a cycle that never ends. Desire, struggle, frustration, desire again. Real manifestation has nothing to do with desire. It has everything to do with recognition. Recognition that you already are abundance. Recognition that you already are love. Recognition that life doesn't give you what you want, it reflects what you are. Deep within you, there's a certainty waiting to be remembered. You won't find it in books, rituals, or lists of gratitude you force yourself to write. It's in your breath. It's in your silence. It's in that space within you that doesn't need to prove itself to exist. When you stop desiring, you start creating. Because what you are is so powerful, it needs no decoration. True power doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't seek validation. True power is like the sky, steady, vast, supported by nothing but itself. Think for a moment about all the times you tried to manifest something. How many of those times came from effort, obsession, and control? And when you got what you wanted, did it really fulfill you? It's time to break the pattern. You don't have to keep desiring. You have to start being. And being is not something you learn. It's something you remember. Remember who you are beyond fear, beyond your mind, beyond the mask you built to survive. That version of you that needs nothing to feel whole. That's the one who transforms realities. That's the energy that builds worlds. Part 3. The emptiness that never existed. You've spent far too long trying to fill an emptiness that isn't real. A hollow space they told you existed inside you. One that society, family, religion, or culture described in detail. You're missing something. You're not complete. You need this to be happy. And so, you began to build your life around a lie. The emptiness isn't in you. The emptiness is an illusion, crafted by a mind that doesn't know how to stop. A mind trained to always want more, to never trust the now, to chase things that, once achieved, only bring more anxiety. Look honestly. How many times have you gotten what you desperately wanted, and the joy lasted only a few days? That fleeting feeling wasn't happiness, it was relief. Relief from temporarily fulfilling a borrowed expectation. But when the relief faded, the same echo returned. You're still missing something. You're not there yet. And so the cycle begins again. Marketing knows this. Social media knows this. Power structures know this. And that's why they all feed on your feeling of insufficiency. But what if that emptiness didn't exist? What if everything they told you you're missing is already within you? Real manifestation doesn't arise from wanting. It emerges from full awareness of your wholeness. You don't have to become someone new. You only need to remove the layers hiding your truth. When you let go of the need to fill yourself, you begin to inhabit yourself. And that is where the magic happens. Because everything that truly transforms your reality doesn't come from effort. It comes from alignment. And alignment doesn't mean doing more. It means being more conscious. It means acting from certainty, not from fear. It means moving, not to get something, but to express something that already lives inside you. Imagine your reality as a perfectly honest mirror. One that doesn't reflect what you want, but what you truly are. How would your way of living change if you knew that every situation, every relationship, every opportunity you encounter is a direct projection of your internal state? Would you keep chasing? Or would you finally take a deeper look inside? The real revolution doesn't happen out there. It happens in the stillness of your own presence. That place where there are no expectations, no judgments, no searching, just space. Because when you're not trying to manifest from lack, but from the knowing that nothing is missing, that's when it all begins. When you awaken to this truth, you understand why so many manifestation techniques don't work. It's not because you're doing them wrong. It's because they're designed to entertain your mind, not to reconnect you with your essence. You are not broken. You are not incomplete. Life is not testing you. The universe is not judging you. All of that is just mental noise created to justify fear. The only thing separating you from your fullness is the belief that you're not already full. But the moment you choose to fully inhabit yourself, with no conditions, no excuses, something changes. Not in the world. And when you change, the world has no choice but to align with that shift. Because it's always been this way. Because reality doesn't impose itself. It reflects. Part 4, you don't attract. You express. Perhaps the most widespread idea in the world of personal development is this. You are a magnet. You attract what you think. You attract what you vibrate. And while there's a hint of truth in that, it also holds a deep misunderstanding. Because you are not a magnet. You are the source. A magnet pulls from the outside. The source radiates from within. And that difference changes absolutely everything. As long as you believe you need to attract, you'll keep waiting. Waiting for what you desire to come from somewhere else. You'll keep making lists, rituals, affirmations, exercises. You'll wait for the universe, like a magical delivery service, to knock at your door and say, "Here it is, you manifested it." But the universe doesn't work like that. It doesn't respond to scattered thoughts. It responds to sustained frequency. And your frequency doesn't live in your mind. It lives in your identity. You are not what you think. You are what you hold energetically every day, even when you're not thinking at all. That's why so many people repeat affirmations of abundance, but still vibrate with fear. And life doesn't respond to their words. It responds to their fear. They say, "I am prosperous," but they feel, "I don't have enough." They say, "I trust life," but they vibrate, "I'm alone and I have to fight." And the universe, that perfect mirror, reflects what they feel, not what they say. Manifestation isn't a mental trick. It's not a game of clever words. It's an energetic expression, a coherence between your inner state and your outer experience. You don't attract abundance. You become abundance. You don't attract love. You become love. You don't attract opportunities. You express yourself as someone already ready to receive them. And in that moment, everything shifts. Because you're no longer waiting. You're recognizing. You're no longer trying to force. You're allowing. You're no longer trying to attract. You're being. The tree doesn't attract fruit. It expresses it. And it doesn't do it with anxiety. It does it naturally because it's its nature. In the same way, you don't need to struggle to manifest. You simply need to return to your natural state. The awareness that you already are. Everything you long for already exists within you in dormant form. It's only waiting for your permission to be expressed. And that permission doesn't come from pretty phrases. It comes from daily decisions. From the way you speak to yourself. From the way you choose. From how you respond to life, even when it doesn't give you what you expected. That's the real test. Not whether you can manifest a new car or a perfect relationship, but whether you can stay aligned with your truth even when the world seems to contradict it. Because it's easy to feel abundant when everything's going well. But real power is born when you can hold that frequency, even in the middle of chaos. That's not magic. That's mastery. And that's where true manifestation begins. When you stop trying to change your reality and start changing the relationship you have with yourself. Because you are not a magnet. You are the origin. Part 5. The Mirror of Life and the Mask of Identity. Imagine for a moment that the entire universe is a mirror. A mirror so perfect, it doesn't reflect your face. It reflects your energy. Not your thoughts. Not your words. But what you truly are, deep inside, even if you're not aware of it. Now pause. Look at your life. Observe it without judgment. Everything you have. Everything you live. Everything you feel each day. Your environment. Your relationships. Your habits. Your body. Your recurring thoughts. Everything. Can you dare to accept that all of it is a precise reflection of your inner state? Most people can't. It's easier to think we're victims of fate, of chance, of bad luck, of other people's choices, of the system, of karma, of the past. We blame everything outside of us to avoid looking within. But as long as we do that, we remain blind to the mirror. And this mirror can't be fooled. It won't be seduced by positive affirmations said with fear. It won't react to words without soul. It only reflects sustained vibration, the real essence. Here comes one of the hardest truths to accept. If your life doesn't reflect what you desire, It's not because you don't know how to manifest. It's because you're still identifying with a version of yourself that doesn't match that reality. Who do you believe you are? That's the question. Because we don't manifest what we want. We manifest what we believe we are. If deep down you believe you're someone destined to suffer, life will echo more suffering. If you see yourself as someone who doesn't deserve love, you'll keep attracting relationships that confirm it. If your identity is built on scarcity, you could do all the rituals in the world and repeat, "I am abundant," 1,000 times, but the mirror will still show lack. Your identity is not what you say it is. It's the vibration you hold when no one's watching. When you're not performing for the world. When you're alone with yourself. Who are you then? That's where everything is born. It's in those silent moments where your true inner dialogue is revealed. Do you respect yourself? Do you care for yourself? Do you trust yourself? Or is your mind still quietly repeating that you're not enough, not ready, not worthy? If so, no affirmation will work, because the mirror reflects what lies behind the mask. And the mask is that false identity you built to fit in, to survive, to be loved. You weren't born afraid. You learned it. You didn't come into this world doubting your worth. Someone questioned it. You weren't born disconnected. You were taught to disconnect. But you're not that child anymore. You no longer need those layers for protection. The danger is gone. And if you want to change your reality, it's not enough to decorate your outer world. You have to dismantle the disguise. And that's terrifying, because we often prefer the comfort of what's familiar over the freedom of what's real. We'd rather keep living a mediocre life than risk seeing ourselves as we truly are, infinite, powerful creators. But if you're here, if you're listening to this, it's because something inside you has already awakened. A spark that knows you weren't born to survive. You were born to expand, to express your truth, to remember you're not a spectator of life. You are its full protagonist. The mirror of life will always reflect the mask you wear. So if you don't like what you see outside, don't try to change the reflection. Change yourself. Take off the costume. Drop the character. Stop acting like someone who has to earn the right to be happy. You didn't come here to earn anything. You came here to be, to express, to remember. And when you remove the role, when you shed that false identity, the miracle happens. Life begins to reflect who you truly are. Not what you pretend to be, not what you desire, but what vibrates authentically from your center. And then, without effort, without techniques, without pressure, everything begins to align. The right people show up. The doors open. Health improves. Abundance flows. Not because you attracted it, but because now you are the clear channel that allows the natural to happen. Life is not struggle. It is flow. And suffering only appears when you resist being who you truly are. And you, right now, have the power to choose. You can stay trapped in the story of who they told you were, or you can take off the mask and look into the mirror with the dignity of someone who knows the entire universe lives within them. Part 6. The Silence That Creates. There's an ancient wisdom rarely mentioned in self-help books. A truth so simple and essential that it doesn't need fancy words or best-selling covers. It's a truth that cannot be sold in a course or taught in a workshop, because it already lives inside you. True manifestation begins in silence. Not physical silence, but that internal stillness where the mind goes quiet, where there is no judgment, no expectation, no need to prove anything. You've spent most of your life trying to build something, a career, a reputation, a relationship, a sense of meaning. And in the process, you filled your mind with voices that aren't yours. The voice of your parents, the voice of culture, the voice of fear, the voice of comparison. And in all that noise, you tried to manifest from confusion. I want this, but I'm afraid of that. I long for abundance, but I don't really believe I deserve it. I crave love, but it terrifies me to open up. And how can reality manifest clearly if your energy is scattered into 1,000 fragments? This is where silence becomes everything, not as a break from life, but as a return to your center, a sacred space where you can finally hear yourself. Silence cleanses you. Silence reorders you. Silence reminds you of what you are when you're no longer performing. And most of all, silence is creative. You don't need to fill your mind with more affirmations. You need to empty it of conditioning. You don't need to learn more. You need to unlearn. Because when you enter silence, you realize there is nothing to force. The universe is already moving. It's already creating. It's already vibrating in harmony. The problem isn't the universe. It's you trying to control it. The mind wants to know how, when, with whom, and why. And if it doesn't know, it panics. But life doesn't follow human rules. It follows vibration. And your most powerful vibration is not excitement, not hype, not obsession. It's calm. Calm is the language of the Creator. When you are calm, you emit a clear, stable, solid signal. The universe understands it. There's no confusion, no contradiction. But when you're vibrating in anxiety, even if you repeat, "I trust," 100 times, the real message is, "I'm afraid." And remember, the mirror doesn't reflect your words. It reflects your being. So ask yourself, from where are you creating your life? From urgency or presence? From lack or completeness? From your character or from your essence? Silence invites you to stop doing, and start being. It's not passivity, it's receptivity. It's the willingness to listen to your real voice. The one that doesn't scream. The one that doesn't beg. The one that simply is, because it knows it doesn't need to prove anything. And when you finally listen, everything changes. You discover that abundance doesn't have to be pursued, it needs to be recognized. That love isn't something to hunt for, it needs to be expressed. That peace isn't found somewhere, it needs to be allowed. Because they were always there. You just couldn't hear them over the noise. Entering silence isn't escaping life. It's coming home to where life truly begins. It's remembering that every thought held in clarity is a creative order. That every emotion aligned with your truth is a key that opens doors. That every moment of presence is a seed planted in the quantum field. And you don't need to know how it will grow. You only need to trust. And trust is born in silence. Not in noise. Not in theory. Not in the next 7-step video. But in that sacred moment when you close your eyes and breathe. And with every breath, you feel that you are already whole. Already enough. Already aligned. And then, only then, life responds. Part 7. The Fall of the Character. For years, you lived like an actor on a stage. You were handed a script before you even knew how to read it. They taught you who you were supposed to be. Polite, strong, ambitious, obedient, likable, productive, correct. And without realizing it, you accepted it. You disguised yourself. You adapted. You moved away from who you really are. And then you started building your life based on that character. A version of yourself that didn't dare to be fully authentic because it feared not being loved. One that silenced its intuition because logic was more acceptable. One that hid behind masks, fake smiles, and goals that were never really yours. And from there, you tried to manifest. But what happens when you manifest from the character? You create a life that doesn't belong to you. A house that doesn't feel like home. A relationship with someone who doesn't truly know you. A job that drains you. A routine that slowly suffocates your soul. And yet you keep going, trying to convince yourself that this is the right path, because you did everything right. But deep inside, there's an echo. A whisper. A quiet truth that says, "This isn't mine. This isn't me." True manifestation doesn't happen when you get things. It happens when you stop lying to yourself. When you look the character in the eyes and say, "Thank you for keeping me safe, but I don't need you anymore." And that's when the fall begins. The fall isn't the end. It's the beginning. The collapse of the character is the birth of the creator. But yes, it hurts. Because it's not just the mask that falls. It's relationships. It's old dreams. It's all the false security you built around a fake version of yourself. It feels like an inner earthquake. And it's terrifying. Because the mind screams that you're losing everything. But what you're actually losing is everything you never were. And in the middle of that chaos, if you have the courage to stay with yourself, without running, without numbing, without returning to the character, something beautiful happens. Your essence appears, not as something new, but as something that was always there, waiting. The part of you that doesn't need to be validated. The part that is already abundant without showing it. The part that loves without begging. The part that creates effortlessly, simply because it exists. That part doesn't need manifestation techniques. It just needs permission. Permission to express itself. To take up space. To be. And when you give it that permission, everything shifts. Your frequency rises. Your decisions become clearer. Your world starts rearranging itself. The people who were there for your character fade away. The ones who were meant to meet your essence arrive. Because life doesn't respond to effort. It responds to authenticity. And this is not something you can fake. Authenticity is not an attitude. It's a vibration. One you can only hold when you stop trying to become someone and simply allow yourself to be. The fall of the character is not a tragedy. It's a liberation. And if you feel like everything is crumbling, maybe you're not losing anything. Maybe you're just finally finding yourself. Part 8. What you are is already enough. The external search is endless when you haven't made peace with who you already are. You've spent so much time trying to become someone that you forgot how to simply be yourself. Every course you took, every book you read, every video you watched about how to improve your life, it's not that they were wrong. But if they all came from the belief that "I'm not enough," then you weren't really growing, you were running. And the more you run from yourself, the further you get from the only place where real transformation happens. The present, the only place where your power actually exists. And here's the paradox. You don't need to become someone else to create the life you dream of. You don't need to reach a higher level of spirituality. You don't need to purify yourself, fix yourself, or prove anything. You're not broken. You never were. You are enough. Right now. Not when you have more money. Not when your body looks a certain way. Not when you heal every wound. Not when you're finally ready. Right now. The belief that you have to get there to deserve what you want is a trap. A distraction. A subtle lie dressed up as self-improvement. The only thing required for reality to align with you is that you align with yourself. And your truth is simple. You already are. You are light. You are presence. You are power. You are love. You are consciousness in motion. Nothing needs to be added. Nothing needs to be taken away. It only needs to be remembered or stopped being denied. Real manifestation is born from that remembrance. When you move through life from the certainty that who you already are is enough, everything begins to open. Because you're no longer acting from lack, you're acting from integrity. You no longer make choices out of fear, but from the desire to express your truth. You no longer seek approval. You no longer compete. You no longer explain yourself. You simply live from the inside out. And that's when the real miracle happens. Not because something magical comes from outside, but because you finally stop blocking what was already meant for you. It was never about you chasing your dreams. It was about your dreams waiting for you to stop hiding. And that only happens when you choose to honor who you are unapologetically, without shrinking, without spiritually dressing yourself up, without pretending to be more positive, more elevated, more perfect. Just you. The universe doesn't reward those who meet expectations. It responds to those who vibrate authentically. And the more you dare to be you with your full energy, the faster and clearer your manifestation becomes. Because you stop sending mixed signals. You stop bending your frequency to fit in. You stop negotiating your essence. And in that calm certainty of someone who no longer needs permission to exist, life bows before you, not because you're above it, but because you've remembered you are one with it. And that memory changes everything. Part 9. The Art of Allowing. The human mind was trained to control. Since childhood, you were taught that if you wanted something, you had to chase it, fight for it, sacrifice for it. You were told life is tough, that nothing comes easy, that you must earn everything with sweat. And you believed it. But now, after running so far and trying so hard, you realize something essential. Control doesn't bring peace. Control brings tension. It creates anxiety. It drains your energy. Control is not power. Control is fear wearing a mask. Trying to control everything is the behavior of someone who doesn't trust. And as long as you try to control life, you will never flow with it, because you cannot manifest from resistance. Life is born in movement. It breathes in change. It unfolds when you allow. Yes, allow. That word the ego fears so much, because the ego wants to rule over everything. It wants to know the how, the when, the who, and the why. And when it doesn't know, it panics. But creation doesn't come from the ego. It comes from trust, from openness, from your willingness to receive. The universe doesn't need to be directed. It simply needs you to stop getting in the way. And you get in the way every time you insist that things must happen your way, in your timing, with your plan. That's not manifestation. That's a subtle war against life. And life doesn't like to be forced. When it's forced, it resists. It withdraws. It closes. Not because it's punishing you, but because control and creation vibrate on different frequencies. Whatever you don't allow cannot flow. So here's the shift. Allowing is not giving up. It's not laziness. It's not passivity. Allowing is deep trust. It's knowing that the universe understands timing better than your mind, that your higher self sees a bigger picture. That inspiration is a more honest compass than fear. Allowing is a sacred dance with life. It means listening to the signs, respecting your rhythms, acting when you feel clarity, and pausing when you feel chaos. And most importantly, it means being willing to receive. You say you want abundance, love, peace, but are you actually ready to let it in? Are you willing to open your heart to love, even if it makes you vulnerable? To accept abundance, even if it means letting go of the identity you built around struggle? To welcome peace, even if it means giving up your fight with the past? Allowing is an act of courage, because it means surrendering, not to defeat, but to mystery, to something greater than your logic, to something deeper than your fear, to something that's already moving if you just stop trying to control it. And the moment you say from your soul, I'm willing to receive what's for me, even if it looks different from what I imagined, everything changes. That's when the gates open. That's when the current flows. That's when life at last can reach you, not because you attracted it, but because, finally, you allowed it. Part 10. The Return to the Origin. After everything you've learned, everything you've felt, everything that's fallen away, what remains is you. No masks, no characters, no filters, just you. And that is more than enough. Maybe for the first time, you feel it. That there is nothing outside of you that can give you what already lives within. That you don't need to become anyone else to deserve everything. That truth doesn't need to be proven, because when the heart is open, it reveals itself on its own. Your entire life has been a journey of return, not to a place, but to a state of being, that space where you remember. You didn't come into this world to chase things. You came here to remember who you are, and from that remembrance, to create. You didn't come to manipulate the universe. You came to merge with it, to flow with it, to be a channel, to be a pure expression of the eternal. Because you're not a human being trying to manifest something. You are the manifestation of the universe itself, becoming aware. You are abundance watching itself. You are love recognizing itself. You are consciousness playing the game of forgetting only to find itself again. And now you know because you can feel it, because something inside you has turned on and it can't be turned off. You can't go back to sleep. You can't keep believing the same old lies. You can't keep accepting a borrowed life. Now it's time to choose. Not from fear, not from urgency, but from clarity. Choose from peace, not pressure. Choose from truth, not lack. Choose what expands you, not what shrinks you. Choose what aligns with your essence, even if it makes no sense. Choose what makes you feel alive. And remember, you're not here for things to go perfectly. You're here to evolve, to express, to create from the soul. And that only happens when you're brave enough to be yourself, fully. Light and shadow, joy and pain, certainty and doubt, complete, honest. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need understanding. You only need to look at yourself and say, I'm ready. Not because everything's perfect, but because you finally understood there's nothing to fix. Everything you needed to manifest a full life was already within you. And now, you allow it. You return to the origin. And from there, everything transforms.